What's up, everybody? Welcome to this episode of Unemployable. This week's session was really wide-ranging. We started off talking about one of Australia's new policies that are affecting small business owners as of last week and the global sensation that this news story has created. We talked about productivity in our workplace here in Australia and what we need to be thinking about as entrepreneurs and small business owners as we go forward. After that, we spoke about artificial intelligence through the lens of an amazing video that came out of Melbourne this week with one of Australia's best entrepreneurs in our universal opinion, Sabri Suby, who is on Shark Tank, runs a company called King Kong. He released a new video about his new artificial intelligence software, which will change the face of the agency business, I think, and make it so much easier for small business owners to get quality, world-class copywriting done for their Facebook ads and other marketing that they're doing. Big hats off to Sabri for what he put out this week. And we also talk about a few other very interesting stories. One that was put out by Simon Beard this week, another legendary entrepreneur here in Australia, a reel that he put out, which we think was just phenomenal and fantastic, and so much more. So if you like entrepreneurship, you like growing your money, you like doing cool stuff in life and business, you are going to love this episode. Stay right to the end because it gets good as we get further and further and further along. So thanks for that. We'll see you soon. Like and subscribe. Bye for now. What is up, everybody? Welcome to this episode of Unemployable. It's so good to be back in the chair with the three amigos. We've got Chris Young standing in for the one and only Eric Machado. How are you?
Good morning. Going very well. And yourself?
Good. I love you repping the company logo, bro. That's the way to do it.
Always.
For all you entrepreneurs watching, we should be doing this. Putting the logo right in the middle of his emerging startup, early bird AI.
James, we're missing an opportunity here, you and I, aren't we?
Oh, it's pretty hard to put hinge across your shirt and come up with any sort of sincerity.
Let's put a QR code like right in front of where James is sitting to get to his hinge profile. Yeah.
DM QR code.
What's going on, James? How are you?
Mate, I'm good. Yep, just in the weeds, so to speak, with a few things that are going on, which is good.
Nice. Is the rash clearing up?
Yeah, just no. Can I have some of your cream? You just keep talking about it. You don't dish it out. Anyway,
I'm a married man, you know. That's a long time.
Can't get rid of it, eh?
Mark, what's going on? What's happening?
Mate, I'm doing well. I just keep pinching myself.
You can sit next to me. I know.
No, I'm in the last week of winter, and we had family here from Melbourne, and my little nieces were around, and we're just spending every day at the beach. I just couldn't believe how lucky we are to get to live up here. So
the last week it's just been like summer, like it's gone winter, summer, like that.
Yeah.
Totally. I was only talking to a guy in my building. He said, he spends about 3 weeks a year up here. He's from Melbourne. He said this year's just been out of control. Everything's blooming down in Melbourne. All the wattle's out already, and it's still in winter. Yeah. So it's like a very early season. Yeah. From what we're hearing. So, and I spoke to my mum who lives out in basically Antarctic version of in New South Wales. She said, the weather's nice and warm now. It's usually like -10. So it's something to change anyway.
Because you're down in Glen in this way, right? Your family.
Yeah.
So I think that's the coldest part of Australia, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. It literally is, actually. Yeah. It gets fucking freezing, is the way to put it.
That's 10 and stuff like that.
Further than that, yeah, way past that. When we were kids, there'd be nothing to be out at mates' farms and whatnot, and it'd be -15, -18 in the shed when you pull your dirt bikes out in the morning. So
is her warm like 0?
Oh, that's balmy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But it's a different climate out in the summertime. It's a dry heat as well. It's not a humid heat, so you start to see a lot of migration from the empty nesters from Melbourne to Sydney. They come up the coast and they go, fuck, we need to go to a cool climate because some people in their retirement years don't like the humidity like on the Gold Coast here. So
crazy.
Starting to get on the bounce back. The old town's starting to kick over again.
That's amazing.
It's interesting. I mean, it's a slightly related topic, but I was reading something in the news during the week, and in Melbourne, apparently there's like more property listings on the market than, I can't remember whether it was in the last 12 months or whatever, but it was like the listings are just blowing up. People are putting their properties on the market, and that, interstate migration out is definitely becoming...
It's still happening.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, guys, lots of news items this week, lots of things to cover. I thought we might kick off with something a bit different. We don't do that many live crosses to the US or crosses to the US, but a better description. But during the week, one of the big stories was this new law brought into Australia for small businesses or all businesses, where we have this right to disconnect law. I don't know if you guys have seen this come in.
Yeah.
And basically giving employees the right to turn their phone off and not respond to employers. And it's taken effect now for larger businesses. And then I think we've got 12 months before it takes effect for small businesses. But what's really interesting about this story here in Australia, and I want to talk into it, obviously we're entrepreneurs, so we're sort of capitalist pigs, but I get the sentiment of this law, right? We live in a super connected society and so on. But it's really fascinating how this story's been picked up globally. And last week I saw it on CNN. I saw it on the Patrick Bet-David podcast, which is one of the biggest podcasts in the world. It's being talked about like right across the country when this came out. Well, I thought we might just play this clip from Patrick.
The guy from Shark Tank, O'Leary.
O'Leary was on the morning show in New York.
It's big news. Yeah.
It's big news, yeah. So we're just going to play this quick clip from Patrick just to see what they're saying. So let's get that queued up and then we'll comment on it.
Australian employees now have the right to ignore work emails. Guys, if you like this, move to Australia. It's only a few minutes away. Call after hours. Let me say one more time to you. According to Reuters, Australian employees now have the right to ignore work emails and calls from after hours. Mm-hmm. Australian employees have the legal right to disconnect from work emails and calls after hours, with the new law stating that workers cannot be punished for refusing to read or respond to contacts outside of work hours, addressing for grown intrusion of work into personal life. The law, which came into force on Monday, aims to curb the trend where Australians worked on average 281 hours of underpaid overtime in 2023, a value of $130 billion, a problem exacerbated since the COVID-19 pandemic, blurred work-life balance boundaries. Oh, here we go with this language again. Mm-hmm. While the law includes exceptions for emergencies and jobs with irregular hours, refusals must be reasonable, with the Fair Work Commission having the authority to issue cease and desist orders and fines up to $94,000 for companies. Amy, thoughts on this story?
So for example, let's say Humberto, my supreme leader, shout out Humberto, I appreciate you. Let's say for example, Humberto called me after work hours. He calls me at 7 p.m. We have a conversation. And I don't like that. I can then go ahead and file a cease and desist order against him. And from there, if he chooses to violate again and call me after hours again, he can then be fined up to $19,000. Or the company could be fined up to $94,000. So my question is, how is this going to be weaponized? Because we know that people take things to the absolute extreme. I actually got into a very contentious debate with my friend about this last night. She's a lawyer. She thinks that this policy is actually good. She'd like to see more of this over here in the USA. And I disagree. I personally disagree. And I think maybe it comes down to the difference between whether you're looking for a job or you're looking for a career. But I know for me, the majority of my professional development and where I have grown in the roles that I've been in and how I've excelled have come from outside of work hours, from mentors who've poured into me and given me their time after work, which I also appreciate, right? So I think that this is a very, very...
So she has the weirdest Australian-American accent I've ever heard.
No, Brad Sugars does.
Yes, you're right. Brad Sugars has the weirdest. So it's a really fascinating. This girl actually is Australian originally. She went to work for PBD. She entered the at an entry-level job at Valuetainment. She worked on one of the podcasts, and she's sort of elevated her way up. She's now got her own show, and power to her. Like, I love seeing young Aussies do this kind of thing, go out into the world and have a crack. But before we comment on this, I want to give you some context, because one of my big things with the Australian government and their treatment of businesses is they seem to fail to differentiate between small businesses and large businesses, which have very different realities and impacts for these kinds of laws. Now, to give you context, in this country, there are 2.5 million businesses defined as small by virtue of the fact they have between 0 and 19 employees. There are 64,000 employees that are classified as medium. They have 20 to 200 employees. and there are 4,900 large businesses that have over 200 employees. So to give you numbers again, 2.5 million less than 20 employees, 64,000 between 20 and 200, and then 4.9 thousand, so 4,900 large businesses. So when you think about these laws, there is no doubt that, just by sheer mathematics, that small business are the ones that are going to bear the brunt of this. So with that said, what do you guys think of this?
Where do you start? Fuck, it's a minefield, isn't it? Especially for an employer. It's like, okay, firstly, from a small business perspective, it doesn't stop. If you have that, the productivity is just going to drop to the floor. If you did, so again, it comes back to who you're going to hire, and that hiring process is going to get a whole lot more stringent, and to be a bit more checking behind. Have you put in a cease and desist claim? You're out. So I wouldn't hire you, a heartbeat. But then let's say you did have someone on the team who did put a 2 cease and desist through. You can just see this when you go, well, you're okay. Now you get done for unfair dismissal, so you can't get rid of the fuckers. It's been incredible.
Yep.
Yep.
And so now you're caught with this crew who's unproductive, who's again clearly got a stone in their shoe when it comes to the company, and it's just going to be like a cancerous mess. So that's the one perspective from an employer.
And I think a commentary that people will weaponize this and take it to the extreme. Sadly, in this country, we are the fucking world champions of weaponizing bad policy. So when you look at the solar panel fiasco and the roofing bats and the NDIS and all these things, there are going to be people who make it their business plan to literally rob the Australian taxpayer.
Especially when things get tougher and people get more desperate as well. It's no secret the costs are going up, and so people will look at this as a genuine viable option of...
I know employers that have employed people where their business plan is actually to get a job, get unfairly dismissed, and get a payout.
Yeah.
And I had a friend, I think I said on the pod a few weeks ago, right now, he has a company where he employed an offshore contractor who lives in Bali. He is not an Australian. He's never been to Australia. He is an English guy. And when we found out afterwards, we Googled the guy, and he's been on that news complaining about workers' rights and all this stuff. And he got let go because he didn't hit his performance numbers by the Australian business, which my friend owns. He has hundreds of employees. He let this guy go, gave him the warning, said, no, you haven't hit your numbers, we're letting you go. And he is now, the Fair Work Australia is hearing his case in Australia for unfair dismissal, and he's not even Australian because the company's Australian.
I've had this. I've got a company that a lot of small businesses use called Employshore, and we're putting on a contractor from New Zealand, and they said, no, he falls under Fair Work Australia. Absolutely, without a doubt. I said, how the fuck does this work? He's not even on shore. He's in New Zealand, another country. Yes, we're very aligned, New Zealand, Australia, but we're definitely different countries. Just FYI.
So Australian taxpayers are protecting the rights of non-Australian employees.
Wait, is that? Do you have a service agreement with this?
I do have all that in place, absolutely.
Or is it an employee agreement,
mate? I tell you what, I'll refuse. Plead the fifth. I'm going to keep quiet on that one. Because in other words,
it's in action right now, is what he's saying. So when you look at this here, though, with these laws where employees can just say, no, I'm not responding. Like, I think about it just with the podcast here. A key man in our business is Richard, who's behind that computer right now. Now, in all reality, we could have somebody coming in tomorrow morning for the pod that's flown from New Zealand or Sydney or Melbourne or Perth, who could be a high profile. Like, we have just yesterday booked the co-founder of Xero, right? It's a $23 billion business. To come on the pod, right? Now that's a high profile, important guest for us as a pod. If I need to reach out to Richard the night before for something that's critical and I end up with a $20,000 fine because Richard decides, to be, he's listening, a prick.
he already is.
You know what? He's going to leave it. For those who can't see, we've got two fingers covered up from behind the screen right now from Richard. But, we're very fortunate that we've got a really great guy in Richard, but you can't tell sometimes. It's like dating, right? Sometimes the crazy comes out later. What do you think, mate?
There's a couple of initial things that I look at and think, okay, this is a little bit crazy, but the first one is the blanket coverage across all industries. So, I mean, if you're a shift worker and you're doing the checkout at Coles or something like that, like you're a shift worker, then
mining, whatever. Yeah.
Right, it kind of makes sense that you shouldn't be bothered when you're not on shift, right? Like, why would there be a need to be called when you... But for a smaller entrepreneur, with the exact example that you've just explained, I mean, like, the reality is most things happen outside of hours. They don't happen within set hours because you don't have a storefront. And so, you know, there's so much ambiguity in this law, and I think it's going to confuse people. I think the other thing that I think is really negative about it is how we're perceived on a world stage. I think that's probably the worst issue, right? Like, at the end of the day, since COVID, the world has changed, and more entrepreneurs are looking outside of Australia to employ staff. I mean, my operations manager is out of Italy. I've got PPC managers out of the US. I don't employ anyone I've got one person in Australia, but if we start to breed a culture of people who are going to start to take advantage and weaponize laws like this, all it's going to do is hurt our industry.
We're not starting that reputation. We have a well-established reputation for it. And I watch a lot of international content, and I saw a video not long ago, very well done, and it said Australia are the dumb rich. And what they mean by that is that we make our money from minerals and mining, and most of the jobs and economic value from this country comes from digging a hole in the ground, right? Not to put too fine a point on it, but we rank in the 60th, like in the 60s for productivity of workforce already. So we're like way back in terms of productivity, and I suspect entitlement as well. Because not a day goes by where I do not talk to an Australian business owner who is tearing their hair out, going, "What the actual?" Employees,
and it's crazy, right? Like, when I was growing up, I was taught to go the extra mile,
correct,
become irreplaceable, do things that other people wouldn't do, and try and work your way up the ladder in that way. You know, we have something like, just a quick ChatGPT search. We have something like 13.5 million employees in Australia and 2.2 million self-employed. Now, I don't know if those numbers...
Sorry, say that again.
So 13.5 million employees in Australia and 2.2 million that are self-employed. So I'm not sure where ChatGPT got that, but let's assume that that's right within a couple of million, right? And then we have, you know, things in the news along the lines of, you know, young people can't employees, and young people can't afford houses and can't do this and can't do that. Well, as a society, what are we trying to encourage? Are we trying to encourage our citizens to go the extra mile, or are we trying to encourage the opposite? And my issue holistically with policies like this is it just sends a bad message.
Yeah, I mean, you think about this, if there's 2.5 million small businesses between 0 and 20 employees, that's millions of Australians that are employed by small businesses, that pay their mortgages and their kids' school fees from small businesses. They honestly need to start getting some pro-business policies instead of everything that's making... It is so hard in this country for small business owners to make money because we have such a small market. We have more people in California than we do in the entire country, right? Like, it's already hard enough.
And what we're going to do is we're going to lose our best talent, Adam. Like, you've already spoken about potentially moving to the US next year.
I'm leaving next year.
I would love to move to the US because the culture and the opportunity is different. So effectively what we're going to do is we're going to lose our best talent, and then all of a sudden the, 30 or 40 people that you're employing here no longer have jobs.
But it'll kind of get back to that point about hiring, though. It'll become a lot more stringent, and especially with KPIs. You've got to make sure that the micromanaging is going to be huge. And it's one thing to go, okay, don't contact me after work, or I'll put 2 cease and desists on you, and then you're fucked. It's okay. How about everyone that get to work? This goes in the basket, you get it back at the end of the day. No fucking social media, no Googling. I'll put fucking URL blockers on everything, and you're just going to be like a droid at work. Do you want that? Yeah. No. Okay, well then how about we all just fucking band together? If I need something, quick answer at 6 o'clock at night, just have a text, whatever. Like, it's just going to get bent right out of proportion.
It's totally
call me skeptical or a conspiracy theorist or whatever, but I look at those numbers again. 13.5 million Australians that are employed and 2.2 million that are self-employed. If you wanted to win and stay in power, what would you do? You would try and come up with policies that kind of side with the majority, wouldn't you?
Yeah. And it's also about like aligning outcomes and incentivizing. I remember that's a conversation we had years ago around one of the businesses. And what outcomes is this aligning? It's aligning for adversarial relationships between the employers and the employees, which really that's the worst thing you could do.
It's handing a gun.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep, that's exactly right. And it's giving them, I guess, a very valid reason to use that. And again, the whole point here is this outcomes, right? What are the outcomes this is actually aligning for? Is it aligning for working more, putting in more effort?
What's it incentivizing?
That's exactly right.
It's that great saying, show me the incentive, I'll show you the outcomes.
That's right. Yep, and that's exactly what this is doing. It's incentivizing the wrong direction, in my view.
Workplace alone, Fair Work, has put a massive bazooka in the pocket of every employee, and not to the benefit of growth.
So with these, excuse me, I don't watch mainstream at all. I haven't seen this at all up until then. So this is a Labor endorsed piece, or is it
Actually, I'm not sure.
And if it was, the chance if the Labor didn't get back in again, the chance of repealing something like this, because it's going to be a shit show.
Well, it's already started. I was speaking to a lawyer down in Melbourne, and I said, how are you guys dealing with it? And they said, I had to modify all of our emails, and on the bottom of all our email footers, it now says, we do not expect you to respond to this outside of ours. And what they're really thinking is, I need a response to this. This is a legal matter that has, you think, we're only just scratching the surface, but you think about all the implications of this, and people go, it's a fucking government mindset of, you turn up at 9, you turn up at 5, and then you do. That's not how businesses run. That might be how the government runs, but it's not how a business runs. And we as a country need to wake the fuck up, because people are going to leave.
Can you imagine, I've got quite a few friends that are lawyers, and they've gone right through and they've become partner and whatnot. Those guys work around the clock. Can you imagine a law firm, like them especially, you get nothing done at all? Let's say someone did get a little bit disgruntled and they've been a great employee up to this certain period of time. All they got to do is go back through the email and just find 2, and you're screwed. Yeah. There's 5:05 p.m. they respond, or you send them an email, and oh fuck, I've got to watch the clock. Can't send anything. They go back and just create this absolute shit show for you.
Correct, and especially at this time now as well, because obviously you've got the AI angle. As AI is going to consume more and more work and more jobs, right? What's going to happen to the people? Because look, essentially, we need to be working harder, in my view, now to sort of stay ahead of this curve with all the the disruption that's going to happen with AI, and this is disincentivizing that. And I can't remember who mentioned it earlier, but the expectation levels in Australia and I guess in the West in general is already sky high. And, most people that want to become like a YouTube creator, I think was a survey, rather than like a rocket scientist or an engineer, which happens in other countries. And especially as we come through a massive disruption, the incentive is not to actually get up off your ass and work harder. And you don't have to work, you don't have to bust your balls, but you do have to, think a bit smarter and more intelligent about what you're doing. The incentive here is, no, let's look at who I can go after to get money for nothing.
It seems
so wrong.
I just did another quick search. It seems to be getting pushed by the Australian Council of Trade Unions.
There you go. Answers the question pretty clearly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I always jokingly said that they should bring in a policy where you get a credit for every employee that you employ. So the more people you employ, the lower your personal tax rate becomes. So if you employ 1,000 people in this country, you're tax-free personally. Right, because you've created 1,000 customers for the government.
Or payroll tax gets decreased, and we get the benefit of paying tax for employing people.
Well, actually, you get penalised, right?
That's what I meant.
Yeah, when you get up to $1 million in payroll tax, they slug you with a fine, which it's not called a fine; it's called a payroll tax contribution. But it's like, what the hell? What's wrong with this guy? Anyway, moving on from this debacle, you guys can go check it out in a minute. We've got Chris in the house. I want to switch gears to another video that came out on the internet this week by somebody who I think is one of Australia's best entrepreneurs, Sabri Suby. Is that how you say his last name? Sabri, down in Melbourne. Sabri is an absolute legend, and he runs a company called, is it King Kong?
Yeah. I believe it is.
Yeah, it's a PPC agency. Yep. He's on Shark Tank, and his videos are just epic. But he released this video. We'll only play the first minute of it or something now during the week. And it's phenomenal what he's doing. And we'll just, have you guys all seen this, by the way? Did you watch it?
No, I didn't watch it.
No. You watched it? Okay, we'll just watch the start and then we'll tell you what it's about. It's a really interesting discussion. So let's throw to our man Sabri down in Melbourne.
Hey, Sabri.
And today we're going to see that it can replace 100 of the employees in my business. I wasn't expecting things to get this out of hand. This is actually
You look nervous, you Andrew Tate looking mother.
These ads are so much better. It's ridiculous. And on this USB stick is the wild and scandalous future of marketing that I uncovered in the process. And how you can use it to literally double your ROAS in the next 30 days, guaranteed. I've done $100 million in my agency. I'm a shark on Shark Tank and have generated my clients over 7.8 billion in sales in over 1,000 different niches. Just over 9 months ago, I had grown tired of hearing about everyone and their mother talk about how AI is coming to replace everyone's jobs.
There's no question artificial intelligence will remake the workplace.
So I wanted to actually put it to the test once and for all. So I turned to ChatGPT. I told her to write me a successful CEO's morning routine. First things first, I headed to the gym to get a diet.
So the premise of this video is basically Sabri wanted to take the challenge. Would AI and ChatGPT be able to write better Facebook ads and better Facebook headlines and copy than his best copywriters at Kong, right? King Kong agency. And it was really funny how they sort of did it, because they gave the AI in this real attitude, like calling him an Andrew Tate looking MFer. Yeah, like just hilarious. Spoiler alert, what actually happened was he put a clock on it. So he got his best talent and he said, all right, here's the company. The company is a property marketing company. They sell investment properties and they're positively geared. They sell them in mining towns, right?
Yeah, and here's the avatar.
Here's the avatar.
Bob, whatever.
Yeah, and he put a clock 5 minutes to write your best headlines, and then he put it on ChatGPT, and they're all sitting there, or 10 minutes, and then he's like, 30 seconds later, all right, I've got 127 headlines. Yeah. And then I was like, oh no, right? And then it became really clear that the ChatGPT out of the box was nowhere near as good as the humans. But then what they went and did was they've created this whole thing as promoting his new AI software, which is called Kong. And it's where they've created a really refined set of prompts so that they write copy. Like if you look at the script for this video, it is hilarious and it's engaging and it's phenomenal. Probably written by Sabri. So they put all of Sabri's brain and engineering into the AI. And now you can pay $99 a month and have Sabri's brain turn out Facebook ads and copy for you.
And landing page copy and everything as well. So it's not just for ads, it's got a whole lot of integration as well. Needless to say, I sent that to 2 of my ad agencies last night. Said,
right.
I said, I want your brain in there, I want his in there. And I don't want to pay $4 or $5 grand a month to have him on one of my campaigns. You do a great job, but upskill. And pay the $99 a month, so we all know we've got bang and copy the whole time. It's going to be...
If you're a copywriter, it's over.
Totally gone.
Absolutely.
You're out the window completely. So I just said, guys, look at that. And they were grateful, they always are. I said, I've got something I think that's going to be beneficial to us. I'm not going to replace you. I don't want to be in the Google account pulling the levers. I don't want to be in a Facebook account pulling the levers, but I want to make sure everything that's in that account is Rolls Royce. So... you're welcome, effectively, and your other clients are going to love it as well.
I did exactly the same thing. Yeah. As soon as I saw that video, I said, we're paying for night. Because I watched that video from Sabri, and I'm like, he is a boss when it comes to copywriting. He's funny, he's engaging, and I can get his brain now, or close to it, $99. What do you think of it as the AI man?
First and foremost, that's a brilliant video introduction. Like, it's engaging, really captivating.
So have you seen the whole thing?
No, I haven't. No, I actually haven't seen this.
You'll love it.
Yeah, I'll check it out and get it going. What this is really demonstrating, and it's so true, which is the big difference between ChatGPT out of the box versus when you train it and refine it. And that's a big part of obviously what we're doing here at Early Bird. Like chatbots out of the box compared to what we're doing is, it's chalk and cheese. Yeah, it really is. Yeah. And I guess it's already happening. The impact on this, not only on just like agencies and copywriters, but just think about everyone else who writes anything, like emails.
I got
all those things. Yeah, so look, this is a brilliant idea. The only thing with this is the unfortunate thing is when these sorts of things come out, it's very easy to reverse engineer, right? And I believe we're going to see a lot more of these things coming out from a lot of other things, which will muddy the waters a little bit too, because I have a feeling I know how this is all being done, and it's very easy to replicate.
Sure, but what you can't replicate, what's brilliant about this is Sabri in this country is recognized as the best in the business.
Well,
whether he is or not.
Well,
his marketing certainly is.
Yeah, well, this is the power of a personal brand, right? So this is the thing. So I guess what I'm getting at with this is someone else having something very, very similar to what Sabri's got versus what Sabri's got here. The difference is the personal brand. That's what's going to make people buy and trust and believe. But someone else can have something very, very similar, but not have that sort of personal brand built up, right? And they just won't be anywhere near as successful. So this, in my view, it's absolutely crucial to build up your personal brand, because that's the difference between success and failure.
And the thing with this is absolutely so binary. It's either your results improve by 20% or they don't, and you can set it in a month. And it's going to cost you $99.
Yeah,
the price. His brain there, and either he's full of shit or it's going to be a game changer.
This is a classic example of disrupt yourself. They say in business, if you don't disrupt yourself, somebody else will. That is a brave move for a guy who makes a living from writing copy to release an AI software to replace what he does. But he sees it as a way to provide. He knows that even with that, many clients still will not do it themselves.
No, they don't. Like I said, I don't want to be in the ad accounts. I know I probably should be. I understand how they work, but it's just not where my time is best spent. And you could look at it that way. It's like either he's going to get left behind, or he's going to go and kick the door down to start with, and then attract more people to his services. And then I think it's not a lost leader, but it's going to be a great SaaS, but it's going to be a marketing tool for his agency.
Yeah, he's thinking a couple of steps ahead here, which is really smart. And this sort of thing, you look at like a Hormozy thing, give away your best content for free. Similar sort of stuff here. Just look at all the business it's going to attract.
You think about a young person trying to build like a business, like if you're trying to build a PPC agency right now and you're a young person, I would be going, I've got Sabri Suby software for $99. I'll charge you $300 runs and I'll use Sabri's copy and everything. So all I have to do is use his software and post it, and they'll get business because they can leverage off what he's doing. And Sabri will only rise because other people are going to look at what we're doing right now.
Yep.
We're promoting his brand because he's brilliant.
And just on that note, Chris, you've got an agency. You've had an agency for years since I've known you, and that's going on 8 or 9 years now. Just for the audience benefit, inside of a Facebook account now, you don't have to be a genius anymore.
No.
It's so intuitive, and that's what he talked about on this video, is that the Meta's AI itself on audience creation, all that sort of stuff like that. You don't have to be, as I said, that genius. And remember when Google first came to prominence, it was like you needed to be a fucking genius to be able to get in there and understand and manipulate that. Now it's pretty much click, oh, cool. It goes
the same bit. Oh, sorry. It's the same with all technology, and you're spot on. I believe where we're going to get to with like Meta and Google, you literally just here's the product, and it will go ahead and write the copy, do the ads. It knows what people need. But you look at like cars. When the cars first came out, it was manual. It was very difficult. It was challenging to build. Now you just go in there, push a couple of buttons, and they drive themselves. So all sort of technology goes through that sort of evolution as it goes through. And yeah, look, especially with Meta, it is super smart. Look, I'm not. One of the big secrets of the things there too is you can literally just set it to an open audience, whereas beforehand you have to be really dialed in with your targeting. Now Facebook or Meta knows the audience better than anyone else, and they even know the audience better than the audience themselves. They know what you're going to want before you know you want it.
The ad experts that I've been speaking to about Meta have been telling me, don't use targeting, don't use lookalikes, don't use any of that. Create the ad and let Meta do its thing. That's literally...
That's right.
99% of the job is to create the ad and let Meta do the rest.
That's right.
And now let Sabri do the rest.
Well, I mean, I've got some like... As of late, I've been using ChatGPT to write my headlines, to write bullets, and then I've been sharing all my thoughts, like daily thoughts, with ChatGPT, right? And you're right in what you're saying, Adam. You can't just out of the box say, here, write my headline, and it doesn't come out as good. You have to train it in the style of writing. Chris Williamson, Sabri Suby, you use David Ogilvy, whoever it might be. But
hey guys, hope you're enjoying the pod. I just want to take a quick moment to share a quick story with you about something going on in one of my businesses right now. We are using artificial intelligence to send a voice clone of myself directly into our customers' voicemail inboxes the moment after they purchase our product. Well, not the moment, a few minutes after. So with our toilets business, Dry Flush, people put in their name, their email, their phone number when they order the toilets. 5 minutes later, their phone rings once and it goes straight to their voicemail. And we're using an AI that clones my voice that says, hey, Terry, if that's their name, grabbing the name from the order form using my voice, it drops a customized voicemail to say, hey, Terry, What's going on? Adam here from Dry Flush. Just want to say thank you so much for ordering one of our toilets. Sorry I missed you. I just wanted to let you know that we appreciate your business. If there's anything you need, just send us an email at hello@dryflush.com.au. And that goes out to every customer every time, a few minutes after the purchase. This is what the team at earlybird.ai are building for us right now, as along with some other very, very cool solutions that are going to increase customer experience, increase the number of 5-star reviews we get, and automate the amazing experience that we are aiming to provide when you buy from our e-commerce store. So if you want to learn about that and your business is doing over $500,000 a year, you qualify for a free audit with the team at earlybird.ai. That's EARLI, earlybird.ai. And they will do an audit of your business and show you how they can put artificial intelligence like that into your business, whether it's voice cloning, video face cloning, all kinds of amazing technologies that are available right now. So go over there, get your free audit, and enjoy the rest of the podcast.
What I think is really interesting is with those thoughts that I was putting into ChatGPT, I was just putting in some rough outlines of thoughts, and it was putting it into like a 30 to 60 second read. And I'm like, wow, this sounds amazing. And it's been inspired by the thoughts and by my language style and by the way that I speak, right? Or think. And I'm like, I'm going to start a daily newsletter with just 30 to 60 second short reads using ChatGPT to bring it to a place that I probably could never write it on my own unless I spent years and years and years trying to learn how to write. My point is that as humans, we seem to think that consciousness or intelligence is a human trait. But I'm getting these pearls of wisdom. I mean, the audience might not agree, but I'm looking and going, wow, these are written insanely well and are things that I would want to pass down to my kids, let alone a newsletter audience. And it's bringing my frequency up to a higher level. An AI companion is bringing my frequency up to a higher level. That's
really interesting. It's blurring the line, right, between... I found this, I'm working with a client who's creating AI music just because he's just interested in it. And he's actually a tech guy. He's not a musician, but it's giving him this creative outlet. And he's created this band, which is sort of a satirical religious band that is all AI. But it's hilarious. You listen to these songs and it sounds like a Pentecostal black choir. But what they're singing is like, I don't know if you've ever seen that old guy that goes into old folks' homes. Sorry, that young guy who goes into old folks' homes and plays guitar. Have you seen him? And he sings the filthiest rap lyrics, but with a nice, gentle guitar to old people, like the, like, yeah, baby, up and down, like all that sort of stuff. So he's created this satirical band that sounds like a church choir singing the most random stuff. And so, and when I look at it, on the surface, people go, oh, that's not art. And I'm like, actually, it is art. It's him working with a new paintbrush, and this new paintbrush is AI. Yeah, that's right. But you still got to guide the paintbrush, right? Yes. So where is the artistic line and creative line drawn?
And like, if collectively we all start to create a more positive impact on the world through whatever the art form that we're choosing, daily newsletter, satirical songs, jokes, if all of a sudden we all start vibrating at a higher frequency, then it kind of throws everything on its head as to...
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, when will we see the first AI comic where we've got somebody saying, give me a blend between Dave Chappelle and Ricky Gervais and like...
here's some observations.
Here's Ricky Chappelle. Yeah. Like, what would they come up with? And would they come up with original jokes? Like, be fast.
And if you think people wouldn't watch that comic, well, you're wrong, because like most of TikTok, we're becoming conditioned to watch digital representations anyway. So
have you seen those ones on the internet just lately? A bit off topic. You see when goes off and takes ayahuasca and goes to the jungle and comes out, and then Elon Musk, and then there's Elon and him sitting there, and they're all growing their beards, they're jumping, they become environmentalists and fucking looking after humanity. It's like, wow, and that's all hilarious.
To your point, I don't know who said it, but someone said memes will rule the world, and literally that's what we have.
I mean, Elon said that for a while.
Yeah.
Elon said, he who outrules the memes rules the world. But I mean, it's this very interesting subject. We could keep talking about this forever.
One last thing. Sorry, I'm surprised more people aren't they're still sleeping on AI and this opportunity. So a couple of weeks ago, Wayne and Josh and I we caught up for a coffee, and we were just discussing even the ideas of having. Have you guys seen epic rap battles of history? Do you guys remember that? It's basically like they put like Abraham Lincoln up against George Washington, and they have like these epic rap battles. You could do the same thing with AI right now. Just you can train the AI on like famous historical figures, and then set them opposite each other to have conversations. Imagine having like an AI conversation between Joseph Stalin, Winston Churchill, just hashing out different ideas and thoughts. There's so many things you could do with this, and you could even put video over the top of it as well, so it looks like you could do some really interesting things.
Just a question, Chris. Sorry.
Yeah.
That process of what you just said, right? And I'm using ChatGPT to kind of create trading moves and things like that.
Nice.
What is the solution? Is it that we have to all become good at Python or programming or something like that, or we have to all pair with an early bird agency to create the solution for us? What does the future look like in turning those things from a raw language learning model into a solution?
Yeah.
Ask ChatGPT.
There you go.
Like, no, really, because this is what James is saying, because it'll actually tell you how to do it.
So that's my question, and maybe it's more just what your personal opinion is. Do you think we're going to teach ourselves to do it based on instruction, or are we going to hire agencies?
Yeah, I think over time, the long term is each and every person will have their own AI companion, and you could just say, hey, this is what I want to do, and it's going to go ahead and do that for you. So yeah, it's really a matter of you need to learn how to be the conductor rather than the instrument player, like the violinist. So you just say what you want, and you need to know how to direct the AI. So one of the things that I've been playing around with, just a mental model of how to explain the AI, is like you think about all the responses that could come back at you with as like a pie chart. Your job is to refine and work with AI to get it down to that one response that you want back out of every single other possible response. And so in order to do that, you need to get good at being the conductor. I think eventually what will happen is we'll all have our own AI companions from birth as well, and it'll be our go-to thing. We sort of it learns from us as much as we learn from it, and then it's just our inseparable AI companion, for lack of a better word.
Mate, 20, 30 years from now, I think the world's going to be unrecognised.
Oh, yeah.
You fucking maybe first. Turn into fucking degenerate mode than formal mode.
I was about to say, you might have a baby after all, James, in the end.
Yeah, an AI baby.
An AI baby, that's it.
It's really funny, like, just last thing on it. But like, if you went back 50, 60 years ago and you said that there was going to be cars and light and space, or 100 years ago, people would be like, what? You're from another planet. Literally, only 100 years ago, life was unrecognisable to what it is now.
Try to explain to somebody, one day you're going to be able to pick up a piece of plastic and glass and talk into it, and immediately on the other side of the world, they're going to be able to hear it, you're going to be able to converse, or you can
see you.
And see you, or you're going to, see you. I mean, what's that?
That was in the Jetsons years ago, go to the car too, where they could talk through TVs. I mean,
it's mind-blowing. But it's all coming, right? Like, it's amazing. All right, so moving on from our men, Sabri or whatever, check the video out. And if for no other reason, you got to follow this guy's channel, because he is just an absolute champion in terms of marketing in this country. That's the standard I think we all should be shooting for. That's obviously got budget, a huge amount of planning. To film and make one video like that is an enormous undertaking. And that's the gold standard right there. So big shout out to what he's doing down there. And I want to make one comment quickly before we move on to the next bit. I want all of you listening, especially if you're Australian, to take note of what we just did there. Like, in some ways, it could be conceived that Sabri is a competitor to Early Bird, or whatever. But one thing we need to get better at as a country is shining a spotlight on excellence, not having this reductive mentality. During the week, I put out a video where we shot some new videos with Chris on Early Bird, just trying to come up with simple demonstrations of AI working in a real business context. And one of the videos went up, it's been up for 4 days, and it's gone to 20,000 views on my Instagram account. It's been shared like, I think 300 or 400 times. And there's always some comments that come in, and people go, it was the one where we basically showed somebody buying a toilet on my website and then getting a text straight back with a voice note from me using an AI clone saying, hey, Chris, thanks for buying the toilet. Really appreciate your business. And the people's come in and start criticizing, well, that's got no real benefit. That's just a cheap gimmick and all this sort of stuff. And one particular guy that I said, look, think harder. Like, honestly, think harder about the tech. You don't understand tech. The thing is, the guy came back, said, look me up on LinkedIn. I did. And he does understand the tech. He works in AI, right? And and he says, oh, you know, like, give me a call sometime. This is what's wrong with the country, right? When you're in a fledgling new industry, you want to shine a spotlight on people that are elevating, right? The industry, right? You don't pull them down. Like on this pod repeatedly, we do business coaching, but we've mentioned how good a job Simon Emil do over at One Life Club. We've mentioned Dave Fogarty a number of times, what he's doing over at Daily Mentor. We've mentioned the guys over at what's the one that you're in?
Daily Mentor.
No, it's a Daily Mentor. No, there's another. What's the other big one? Ecom Equation. You know, and we say to people, go and do all these things, right? Like shine a spotlight on other businesses that are doing it. But Australians have this mentality of just like, and they do it in your comments publicly as if it's not a crime. You know, like it's not a crime, of course, but the attitude to it is like, this is a public-facing attempt to try and elevate the industry. And the people in the industry should be saying, that's really cool. If you want to build a relationship with us, don't criticize the things that people put out. Say, hey, that's really cool. Love to connect with you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to criticize the technology and then say, go to my LinkedIn page and book a call with me. How about get fucked? That's not how it works.
That's the problem with the signaling from above, right? Where if we give too much air to the, you know, kids can't afford a property debate, then we signal a certain attitude, right? And you know, I think what you're describing is the fixed pie fallacy. You know, people are led to believe that there is only a finite amount of resources. And in order for you, if you don't have resources, to obtain resources, you need to take those resources from someone who has more. The world doesn't work that way. There is an infinite amount of resources, and it's going to go to those who are willing to go after them and lean in and not have...
Especially in this industry, this is AI. It's the emergence of the biggest thing in the world. And I went and looked at his website. They've got a great website. They've got a good-looking business up there in Brisbane. They're doing some really good things. And I'm not going to mention them right now, who they are, that I normally would. But just because and this is the big thing when I went to America, we're talking about employees before. When I lived in America for 5 years, I could not believe the difference. Like, everyone's like Richard, just good people. Like, they want their jobs. They want to do a good job. They want to shine. And the attitude to this kind of stuff is like, if somebody's doing something great in the industry, they will shine a spotlight on it, say, let's connect. Let's see how we can collaborate. The mentality is just so vastly different in the US to business than it is here in Australia. We've just got to do better.
Yeah,
I remember when you were shooting all those ads a couple of moons ago with Amazon, you said, if you want to work out if you've got thick skin or not, fucking shoot an ad.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And all the comments on these DMs, if you read them all, you'd want to neck yourself.
Oh, so
if
you didn't have thick skin.
If you want to fix the world, you know, start by lifting others up.
Yeah. You know, you will never believe this, but I've got big teeth. I didn't know that. I did not know that till I made a YouTube ad. Yeah. Not like I haven't been dealing with it since I was fucking 5.
I find it amazing that people will instantly go to the personal attack. It's like, what the fuck is my message got anything to do with my fucking...
Well, no one who's happy does that. And that's the very key thing. The other thing too is, like, life is exactly how you see it. So you can look at something and it's like positive or negative. And, you know, I've had many of those, I guess, situations over the life, and you know, this whole thing about AI, it could be an amazing thing or it could be a negative thing. This whole thing about even, I guess, the laws we were looking at earlier, it could be a negative or a positive. It's just how you adapt to it and what you do with it. And so, again, like, people who are happy and doing good things, they don't have time to go out and criticize, let alone the desire to do that either.
Grant Cardone always says it. He's never met a person that's more successful than him to talk shit about him. So you never will.
We don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are, and often it's a distorted reality.
Totally. Moving on to some positive stuff. Mark, you had some good news happening in your business in the last month. Tell us about what's going on over at the ecom. Is it ecom or Amazon or both? Where's the change occurring?
At the moment, we are still, with a couple of brands, still just on Amazon. We are starting to make the transition now to off of Amazon. So I've been speaking about Meta and Facebook ads, and that's one of the things that I think we're going to lean into. I think one of our brands kind of lends itself. It's I wouldn't say it's an everybody brand, but it's a product that everybody has in their home, right? So we're going to start leaning into Meta and Facebook. But one of the challenges that I've come on the show and basically spoken about is how important PPC is to Amazon. And through a couple of bad hiring decisions in relation to PPC and maybe some strategy on our end that wasn't being communicated properly, we basically got to a position where we were down 50% year on year in profit terms. Revenue hadn't taken as much of a hit, but profit definitely had. So the execution of what we were doing definitely needed to be adjusted. So we've recently hired a new PPC agency, and in the last month, so last 30 days, our net profit month on month is up like 45%. In the last 7 days, in the last 14 days, our net profit is up year on year for the first time this year. And, we're slightly down for the month year on year, but we're catching. And I've spoken to a lot of people who have done Amazon or thinking about doing Amazon. And when those things turn, sometimes they throw in the towel without actually going deeper to try and solve what the problem is. Some learnings for me was, okay, we knew it was PPC that needed to be adjusted, and we feel like we have a team in place that can take us to where we need to go. But through that process, we learned how important it is how we communicate the objectives that we need, and we kind of recreated all our reporting and dashboards to better send messages of what we need basically done.
I remember about maybe it was a month ago or so, you were talking about doing some PPC in-house. Did the lessons from doing that in-house guide you with your hiring choice of agency, or what happened there?
It definitely did. And if I'm being completely balanced with the conversation, we're still considering taking a couple of our products back in-house because the results on one or two products haven't been as good as what they've been generally speaking. And what I've learned is that when you take control of those things in-house, you can work on those things 24/7. But when you've given them to an agency, they're going to have limited amount of time and hours in a day. And sometimes it's not the fact that they're not doing the right things. It's just they're not doing enough of them quick enough. And sometimes we need to move quicker. So yeah, we definitely learned a lot through that process, but we still potentially will take some products in-house.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a great feeling, Mark, isn't it, when you've been on a sort of a slide for a while to see a uptick the other way on the back of some decisions and work.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe that feeling.
Yeah, it's like it's hard as a business owner. Like you have to kind of stay positive throughout that as that's happening. And sometimes that can be difficult and whatnot, but it's been great because we've kind of seen the light at the end of the tunnel. We kind of knew what we needed to do, but we needed to execute on it.
But sometimes, and I've had a couple of brands on Amazon as well, but sometimes you've gone and you've done all the work you can, and like when you're in the deep, in the bowels of hell, so to speak, you don't know that it's going to come back, and that's the anxious part. Where I might have to bury this, and so when it does come back, that feeling must feel pretty damn good because they don't always have that outcome.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, it's that thing where we say to people is that when you're in hell or you're struggling, what I always encourage people to do is sit down with a pen and paper, identify all the things that are the leverage points, whether it's your creative or whether it's the ads, the ads themselves, like the videos, whatever. Identify what those things are. Ask other smart people who've got the results. Is there anything else I'm missing that I could change? And then go really hard and fixing them. And then make a decision. And as James said, a lot of times it's over, and then sometimes it turns. And when it turns, it's just like so good,
Yeah.
It's good feeling. Congrats, mate. I'm very happy for you. That's grit right there is what it is. And it's hard when you're seeing it, like, because were you losing money or was it just profits going really slow?
We weren't losing money, but we basically, I think, our best year was something like $4 million Aussie, and our profit margin was up around 28%, so it was really, really high. And our revenue hasn't come off as much, but our profit had basically dropped by 50%. So
what was the principal driver for that? Was it that you dropped prices? Was it that your cost of goods went up? Was it the ads? What was the conversion rate?
So the principal driver was 100% increase in ad spend that wasn't transferring to increased sessions. It was actually leading to a decrease, 50% decrease in sessions year on year.
So you doubled the spend and halved the traffic.
Yes. So
It's a multiple.
That'll do it.
Yeah. So
which is it's completely counterintuitive. If you think I'm going to double the spend, I should get double the sessions.
And
That's logic,
that's
right?
the amazing thing about Amazon, right? Like if you don't have the PPC set up effectively, it actually has the opposite effect and it kills your organic ranking, because where you're losing those sessions is not through PPC, you're losing them through organic. But the biggest driver of organic sessions is your PPC. So I think, to your point, why didn't I stick a bullet in it, is because I could see that math and I thought, no, this is a technical problem that we have to solve, because our product was, double the price of most of our competitors, and once upon a time it was selling well.
Well, if you're an Amazon seller listening to this and you want motivation to remind yourself to really look into the details, print out a photo of Jeff Bezos on the back of his super yacht with his new hot girlfriend and say, yeah, I'm paying for that right now.
He'd be pimped up with the pimp glasses, the gold chain, and the durry. Pimp up Bezos.
Dear, oh dear. There you go. Well, that's good news. We had our best month ever last month in Dry Flush as well, our little toilet business. We did $110,000 for the month, which, look, it's still a very small business, but what's so cool about that business is it really is, like, for me now, probably an hour a week sort of thing. And
it's growing.
It's growing. No employees. That was up 40% on the same month last year. So again, that feeling of we've been doing all the right things. We've been investing in a new website, was 25 grand. We're investing $5,000 a month in our SEO PR agency right now to get us quality, legit backlinks, no grey hat stuff. So we're making these investments in different things, and to see it now building is such a rewarding part of owning a business. And if you missed the pod last week, we actually revealed the numbers. It was $279,000 of true net profit, proper net profit in the first full financial year, which was pretty incredible and growing. So just shows the power of small business when you get it right. And that business is very much a business that we built on a very purposeful track, keeping overheads super, super low. And again, if you haven't read the book, James has read it. I've listened to it on audio now. How to Get Rich by Felix Dennis.
I'm listening to it now.
Absolute must read book or must listen book. It's such a cracker. Okay, so what else we got on this week? Couple more things. We're going to wind it up. We have the last thing here. I've got it in my notes. Where was it? Mark, you gave out a nice prize. Like I was saying, I'm going to the F1 in a couple of weeks in Singapore. What did you do for your employees as a nice little thank you?
So one of the obviously there's a debate about remote work and building culture and whatnot. And it's, without meeting someone, sometimes hard to portray that you actually give a damn about them. Some people need that in contact, in person kind of thing. So, and it's just amazing how sport can bring people together. But, my operations manager and I had started to kind of build a bit of a connection on F1. So she found out that I liked the F1 and I told her to watch Drive to Survive, and she started watching it with her son, and then her son started getting into the F1. And then for Christmas, she sent me a little Red Bull car model, and it kind of begun like that. And then, she was pretty instrumental during a difficult year and a successful year the year prior. And I thought I wanted to do something special for them. So I basically bought them tickets to the Italian Grand Prix, the Monza Grand Prix, which is half an hour from where she lives. And they went to the Grand Prix on the weekend, and Ferrari got up and won in front of its home crowd. And, she sent me a beautiful message, and I'm happy to throw it up in post, but she sent me a beautiful message basically just saying, thank you. This was such a great experience. And it just made me really, really happy.
The payoff from that sort of thing is just enormous.
She might work overtime.
Yeah, exactly, without suing you. I'm going to close with one last story. Well done on that one. You sent me the videos and great tickets, and she had a wonderful time. I'm going to share one last quick story and we'll wind it up. This one is actually from Simon Beard during the week. So if you don't know who Simon Beard is, you can follow him on Instagram. Simon built Culture Kings, sold it for $650 million valuation or something. Superstar entrepreneur, country boy, I think from Mount Isa originally, a bit like you, James, country boy. But he made a video during the week which got my attention, which was really good. He put on his Instagram and he told this story of how I think it's called Saint Madre or Saint Marta or something. And did any of you see this reel that he put up?
No.
Such a great story. So he basically told this story that when he was running Culture Kings, he found this pants company in New Zealand that he really liked. He saw it online or something.
I've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's a really good story. So he found this pants company. They made really cool stuff. He made an order to test, put it into the stores, and just as he suspected, they sold out the first day sort of thing. So he emailed them and said, right, back up the truck. Let's get a ton of this stuff into our stores. Which he then got a response from the company in New Zealand who made these pants and said, oh, sorry, we've had a closer look at Culture Kings and we don't think you're a fit for our brand. Oh, wow. And he said something woke up inside of him like a lion, and he said to his partner, Tani, I'm going to sit up all night tonight and I'm going to create my own pants company. I'm tired of these suppliers, blah, 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 blah. And in one night, he sat down, created the brand. He came up with this name. He wanted to get a Greek god as a name. And he wanted to use saint and then a Greek god. And then he couldn't get the right Greek god, so he went to the Mexican gods and he got the god of death or the patron of death, whatever. And he said it's such a good name because of, like death reminds us of the value of life, and they had this whole positive spin. Came up with this killer logo that he did himself. And then he launched his first vertically integrated brand called Saint Madre or Mater or something, and he sold them in Culture Kings. Literally did it in one night. Got the Alibaba supplier for the product, got the logo, the whole brand pack, everything. And this is probably well before AI could have assisted him in doing this.
Exactly.
And he said, to this day, I did a quick calculation. I think we've sold $250 million worth of those pants. Bit of a mistake by the Kiwi company, right? What got my attention though was in the comments again. Someone says, I don't get this, dude. So basically what he's saying is, if you find something that you like and they don't want to do business, just rip them off.
Oh, geez.
And what got me, but the funny thing is, if you sell pants, you don't exactly have a moat, right? Like, it's all brand and it's all distribution, right? Like, if you've got a guy like Simon who's got, like, if it's so easy, mate, go and set up Culture Queens and have at it, right? Just go and sit up tonight and make a logo and be Simon, right? Like,
Good luck.
Good luck. There was years of incredible ethic. What that story is so great, and why I love it, is because that is the truth of entrepreneurship. So many people, rolling in courses and waiting 2 years to be given the pat on the head. You now have an entrepreneur certificate, or you now have a certificate in social media. Mate, do it in a night. Like, I've mentored a guy on Connect this week who hit me up from a Connect meeting, and he's been connecting me, and it's been great. And he said, what do you think? I've just enrolled in a digital marketing course. I said, cancel it. I said, I'll give you an idea. I said, during the week, I watched a Zoom. I bought this thing off Zoom, which is a Zoom backdrop, right? So where I was on Instagram, it says, up your Zoom backdrop game, get a Zoom backdrop from our company. $89 for the super packet. I got 2 versions, vertical, horizontal. And I see this ad everywhere now, all over. And I said to him, mate, just start a Zoom backdrop company and do it by Friday. It's not that complex. Set up a website. Here's their website. Set up a website. Go and find it. Even if you don't want to use ChatGPT, use a contractor or ChatGPT. Figure out how to make the backdrop and then run some Google ads and give yourself 1 week. See if you can do the whole thing in 1 week. You just need a Stripe account, bank account, you're good to go. And and he was like, whoa. And I'm like, dude, that you'll learn more in 7 days from doing that than you will from 2 years of sitting there doing courses and whatever.
Yeah. It's such an amazing story, because I remember working with Dom, my fiance and business partner at the start. One of the things that she used to hate is how quickly I would try and activate things. And compared to that, and compared to you, Adam, like I'm a snail in terms of my activation speed. But she won't be upset with me saying, but she'll say things like, how do you know that's going to work? And I'm like, I don't know that's going to work. Yeah. That's why I'm giving it a go, right? Like, we just got to try something and then adjust. But it's very hard to train people in that.
And more than likely, it won't work first go around.
That's it.
I mean, I bought a little course on how to make better engage, because any reel that I publish on my Instagram that's a clip of this pod tanks. It just does not perform. And that's because most of my audience have watched the pod, right? And so the minute they see us with the headphones on and they see a reel for 60 seconds, they're like, next, boring, right? So this week I did this little TikTok course, and I was walking on the beach and I did a little TikTok, but I learned how to use CapCut properly. And so I'm committing to do a video each day where I use CapCut, because it says the editing. So I stood there on the beach, made a video about this fake private jet business in Los Angeles where you can rent, it's just a set. And you can basically rent the set and go in there. It's like $90 for an hour, and you get to look like you're flying in a private jet if you're so inclined. And so I made this little video. I'm just going to bring it up now while I'm here so I can tell you the numbers. I shot it on the beach with an iPhone, nothing, but I had an interesting hook. I used TikTok the Reels structure. There it is, sorry. It's been up for 24 hours. It's had 183 shares, over 10,000 views, because I implemented something that I learned like that. And then I did the next one yesterday, and I've put up 3 so far, and they are triple the engagement of my other videos. But all it took was sitting down with YouTube, learning how to use CapCut on my phone, and actually doing it.
Wow.
You know, and it transforms, you know.
Couple of things I love about that story with Simon. One is the big fuck you factor.
Yeah.
It's like lights a fire in like entrepreneurship. It's like, you tell me no. It's like, no, I'm going to watch this. It's like that, the power of that is just phenomenal. And the other thing too, what you just mentioned about just do that one backdrop business for a week, that's like all the information in the course you need to know to make money with business. Just literally just do that.
Have a
one
product.
thing,
Yep.
That's it. And just go do it and execute. And to your point, obviously both James and Mark, like things are not going to work multiple times before you find the thing that does work. I was watching, I think it was the Diary of the CEO, or even Alex Hormozy recently, and he brought up an example of the pottery class. Have you guys seen that one where the university lecturer said, your assignment for this semester, one part of the class was build one perfect pot. The other one was you have to do as many pots as possible. And so what they found is the segment that had to do as many pots as possible made far superior quality pots, because they did it over and over and over and over, and they learned. The ones that had to do one pot, they kept on overthinking. Like everything was dialed in on that one. So it was a phenomenal lesson, and it's exactly what this is.
Incredible.
Yeah, so just volume, acts, and what you just mentioned before, that is the secret to just business and everything. It's great.
Conor McGregor said, no talent here, just hard work. But that's what it is. It's actually just the work and just committing. Like you want results in the gym, you go every day and you don't make excuses. You want results on social media, you turn up every day and you publish. That's it. It's the same thing. And as a result, you grow. So, and that you are right, Chris, because that thing to that kid, not a kid, he's a guy in his 40s, I go over to him, he will learn more in 1 week because you've got a product, you got to build a website, you got to do a headline for a Facebook ad, body for a Facebook ad, to buy a Facebook ad, you got to actually set up a Stripe link. You can do all of it in 7 days. You could actually do it. James could do that in about 3 hours, I reckon, honestly.
Project 100, when you were teaching Amazon through Reliable, our Project 100, get a project live in 100 days, is the one that's still selling, and that's our hero product. And the one I spent 7 months developing tanked.
That was the most successful thing we did at Reliable. Gave them 100 days, $100, and no more than 100 products. So you couldn't really get burned because you couldn't spend what was $100, $1,000.
No, I think it was no more than $1,000.
$1,000. So you spend no more than $1,000 in inventory. You had 100 days to do it. It's a guided plan, and the worst case scenario is you blow up $1,000 worth of inventory. But the success rate through that was like 90% or something of people who entered that challenge finished with a live Amazon business. And the number of times I've heard that story, one girl, Georgie, when she sold her business, the core product in that business that she sold, I think for about $2 million, was a product she launched for a lark on that Go Live program.
Just think, the worst case, you lose $1,000. How many tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, do you spend on a university degree?
Yeah.
So you could do 50 or 10, 20, 30, 50 of these variations, right? And at the same price you're going to pay for a university degree in a fraction of the time. And I would challenge to say you would actually make far more money from that, because if you do that 50 times or 10 or 20 or 30 times, guaranteed you're going to find something that works in amongst that time.
So it's the self-belief that you've actually just gone and done it. It's like, no, I'm fucking alive. Shit. And the growth.
You can't teach self-belief.
Yeah.
It's just like, wow.
It's the old saying, right? Nothing has more degrees than a thermometer, and you stick that up your bum. So with that said, guys, on that note,
Goodbye.
thank you. We started as degenerates and we ended as degenerates. Thanks for coming, guys. If you've liked this episode of Unemployable, you know what to do. Thumbs up, like, subscribe, tell your friends, don't tell your enemies. Have a beautiful day. Bye for now.
Take it easy.
Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that episode of Unemployable. If you'd like to watch another episode, just click there.